Hello and welcome to the Man Enough podcast. I am Justin Baldoni.
I'm Liz Plank.
I'm Jamey Heath.
Thank you so much for listening. Man Enough is our journey to stay in the room and have uncomfortable conversations and learn in real time about what it means to be a man and undefining all of these traditional gender roles and aspects of all the things that we've been taught forever about what it means to be a man today. And at the end of the day, all we wanted to do is make room for whoever you are, wherever you are, to feel accepted and loved and seen as a human being. Mm-hmm. And I do want to just point one thing out, Liz. I don't know if you've noticed this, but Jamey looks a little bit different today.
Oh, wow. I'm man enough to admit I got my teeth white.
That's what it is?
Yeah, I went to the dentist and had her whiten my teeth. Sat there for an hour because I did this little thing here on this set and I had a ring light and my teeth were yellow. And I said, oh. And Liz is like, look, you see her TikToks and all that stuff. You're like sparkling white. And
you do have the whitest teeth I think I've ever seen.
So I did that. And not only did I do that, just for men.
Who's not one of our sponsors.
Who's not, but hey, you want to sponsor us, you can. I use your product and I put it on.
You put it on your beard?
He's literally pitching products now.
I'm not trying to pitch them. I'm trying to pitch that you pointed out my teeth.
I think you would be a great spokesperson for just for me.
But what's interesting is that would have been something I probably wouldn't admit it before.
Why not?
We always want to pretend that we look how we look just naturally and that we don't do anything. My muscles are this way, it's always like
from birth.
From birth, yeah. I don't work out for it.
Just
and the idea that I would admit to another that I dye my beard would feel vain or I don't know.
I love that. I love that you're admitting it because everybody I'm not saying everybody would know for you.
Yeah,
but a lot of people know, if somebody's older and they dye their beard, they clearly dye their beard. So
I did not even think that men dye their beards. It's like it literally never crossed my mind.
What did you think that just for men was?
Isn't it for your hair?
And it's for your hair.
It's for everything.
Part, wherever you do it.
Do you guys dye your eyebrows to go with the beard?
No, because this kind of gets, a little bit more than the rest. So.
Got it.
Well, speaking of looks, we have somebody on the show today I'm very excited to talk to, Wisdom Kaye, who is a renowned TikToker now and model who has really made a name for himself by breaking a lot of the rules, these traditional rules of masculinity. And
by the way he dresses.
And
Vogue acknowledged him as being the best dressed TikToker there is.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think it's perfect timing. And honestly, I thought about him today, and that's why I wore my hair down.
Yeah, can we talk about that?
I knew that he was going to be on the show, and I knew you give me a lot of shit for it, Jamey.
I'm gonna ask him about your
and
hair.
I was like, you know what? If this guy's so free, I can be free.
What do you think of his hair, Liz?
I think I've asked before.
I don't
put her on the spot like that.
I don't want to get involved in this at all. I think you should grow your hair out. I think that's what we should do. Everyone should be free.
We'll be right back with Wisdom Kaye. This is Man Enough. Hello and welcome to the Man Enough podcast. I am Justin Baldoni here with
Liz Plank. That's my name.
Jamey Heath.
Jamey Heath. And we have an amazing guest today. I think both Jamey and I are feeling a tad bit insecure. Wisdom Kaye, everybody.
Hello, hi. How's everyone doing?
We're doing good, but I'm sorry, Wisdom, I just got to steal your thunder for a minute because you've been named
Jamey's
by Vogue.
putting on his ring light right now.
You've been named by Vogue the best dressed man on TikTok. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, you wait till this ring light is I got this set right.
That's the secret.
You're going to have a rival now.
Uh-oh.
You think the ring light is going to make you better dressed? Is that its power?
Well, it's going to start with, listen, Liz, here's what I got going against me. And I'll make this real quick. Have you seen the way this guy's dressed?
Yeah, he's wearing a, what is this?
Red velvet Gucci blazer, yeah.
I mean,
Red
he
velvet
looks
Gucci blazer.
like my dream. How I would love. No, I'm not kidding. You walked in, I was like, okay, what's this? And then Justin, well, his hair is down there. What do you think about his hair?
Justin's hair is gorgeous.
Yeah!
I'm a fan.
I knew this was going to happen.
Oh my
fan.
gosh. And then you got Liz who never looks bad. So I need a ring light. So
You look great. What are you talking about?
I'm going to keep this ring light here.
It's a good look.
Got my teeth whitened.
Wisdom, what can he do differently?
Yeah,
I say get rid of the ring light. I say get rid of it.
Yes.
I think you look great as it is.
All right.
he's enough as he is, right?
Oh,
He's enough as he is.
I am man enough as I am.
Put the ring light down.
All right.
That's what this podcast is all about.
Liz, would you mind introducing our audience if they don't already know who Wisdom is?
Yes. So it's so great to have you with us. I want to share a little bit about you. So Wisdom Kaye is an out of the norm and onto the runway TikTok creator turned IMG model. You've amassed a reach of nearly 5 million across all your social media channels through fresh and unique take on men's fashion and by challenging hypermasculinity with a comedic bent. I can't wait to talk about that with you. So from Houston, Texas, you really take your millions of followers into the world of someone that Vogue magazine has coined the best dressed guy on TikTok. That's
and there's a lot of people on TikTok.
There's a lot of people on TikTok. There are billions of people on TikTok.
And we are seeing it firsthand.
Yes.
That is such a sick intro.
We approve.
Wow.
From at-home fashion shoots, from closet tours, videography, and photography, your inspiration and looks are limitless. We are so happy that you're here to join us and grace us with your presence.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for being here, brother.
And thank you for saying that my hair was gorgeous.
I'm a fan.
Because Jamey constantly makes fun of my hair.
Jamey, I'm sorry. I'm a fan.
Come on. I might have to change my mind because he's got fashion. He has a sense that I will...
It's great hair.
Thank you. So I have a question for you. When was the last time that you didn't feel man enough? Or have you ever not felt man enough?
You know, I think a question like that, to really answer, you have to first ask yourself what it really means to be man enough before you can say like, oh, am I man enough? And I was raised in more of like a traditional sense, like because my Nigerian background is kind of like all right, man up, you got to deal with it, you got to deal with it. And it's weird because today, like when something's going on, I don't really talk to anyone about it. You know, it's just something I try to like deal with and internalize and like try to get over it. It's not the best way to deal with things, obviously, first of all. And something kind of personal happened like right before I left. Really, I just had like a real deep and intense conversation with my mom. You know how that how that goes.
Mom,
yeah. It was just I didn't really know how to really handle it. And I just kind of felt like weird in that kind of moment, like because I was raised like man up, figure this out. Don't cry, stuff like that. Like don't feel the emotion. Be a cyborg, whatever.
So when was the last time you cried?
Oof. Okay. So the real answer for this, I won't lie to you, is like
we only want the real answer.
But the thing is, the real answer is weird though, because it was 2 days ago. But it was because, and this is so weird, I can't explain this. I had Carl's Jr. and I got really, really food drunk. I'm not making this up, and I cried. Like,
yes,
I was going insane in my hotel room, and then I cried.
But like happiness or horror?
It was everything.
Okay, got it.
I won't lie to you. I knew like sometimes you eat, you feel kind of, but like I was genuinely out of it. Like it didn't make any sense to me. But the real time I cried from like emotion and something that was actually going on was this experience that I was talking about right before I left.
Have your parents also always been very receptive to your choices? The way that you really challenge masculinity with your fashion choices and just overall your existence.
Yeah, I was supposed to go down the path of like biochemical engineering major. That was what my major was when I went.
Wow.
But my major changed like 3 or 4 times because I didn't really want to, study something like that in school. It wasn't really my thing. But that's just what I ended up going to school with because, that's just what I was expected to do. So during this time, I kind of get on TikTok. My friends had talked about it in college. Like, I think I posted my first videos in college right before COVID hit. Some of my friends were like...
so you've only been doing TikTok since like last year?
Yeah. Wow. Exactly, yeah.
It's incredible.
Can you run our social media accounts?
How you feeling, Jay?
Thank you. Yeah, my friends in college were like, oh, you should make like a fashion video, just show your outfits throughout the week. And I was like, I wasn't too sure about it because I didn't really know what TikTok was at the time. I wasn't really on it. I started filming in my room. And yeah, just kept posting those and it blew up on Twitter as well. So I was like, okay, I'll just keep making more and more. That's the point where it's like, all right, I'm getting hit up by brands, getting hit up by agencies, and then IMG come. Wow. And then, they asked me, so what does your mom think? And I was like, she doesn't know about it. And they're like, what? So then they're like, let's set up a call with your mom. Tell my mom about it. And I didn't really know how to even tell her. I told her, hey, Mom, these people want to talk to me about a thing. And I was kind of vague about it. I didn't know how to really tell her. So she's like, okay. And I just kind of, made stuff up. The call comes and they kind of lay it on her what's really going on. And that was her first time really getting a glimpse of like, oh, my son's like on TikTok. And because good things were coming from it, she was like, okay, yeah, this is fine, this is good. But she still is very adamant about like, school and this and that. Because again, it's a very traditional thing where it's like my son's just going to go off to school and become a doctor. Like he's not going to be on social media making videos. And even I didn't know what could really come of that either.
So let me ask you a question. You're 20, right?
Yeah.
My man. I'm more than twice your age. It's crazy.
More
more than twice.
emphasis on the more.
So we're doing this podcast, Man Enough, based on the book that Justin wrote, which is really a journey of his own relationship with masculinity, right? And like in real time, and him going through different aspects of it, and he writes about it. At 20, do you find that discussing things like we are on this podcast is something that you deal with your generation? And do you think it's relevant?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, all the time. Even recently, I had to do a little questionnaire that for Vogue, they wrote this article about men in heels and like their favorite heels and why they wear them and things like that. And there's, sort of this idea that like, you're a man, you shouldn't be wearing, high heels and things like that. Whereas history actually does say otherwise. But yeah.
Can you tell us about the history?
Yeah, I mean, men wore high heels first. I'm not a historian, but I believe it had something. It was way back when. It had something to do with, I think it was riding horses.
Riding
or something.
horses.
Yeah, exactly.
A loke?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that's where it initially started from, and then the way I think about it, when you think of a heel is nothing but just additional height. I mean, that's really what it is at the end of the day. But when I was getting on TikTok at first, and I started, doing fashion content, sometimes I get the occasional comment where it's like, are you what is he wearing? Is he wearing a heel? Why are you wearing stripper heels? Why is he doing that? And they seem to think that, this has something to do with my masculinity and my sexuality as well. I've been challenged on all those fronts because of what I wear, heels and then, other clothing items, but mainly those. And so, yeah, I think I've addressed it also as well on my TikTok. I think I've posted a few things.
What have you said?
Right. So I've tried to emphasize the fact that it's footwear. Right.
It's just footwear.
It's just footwear.
I am me right now. I can take these boots off. Nothing has changed. I may have gone down a few inches. Nothing's really changed. I'm the same person before and after I put them on.
Does that make you feel, because of them, I'm sure you obviously are a confident person.
Yeah.
But do you ever question, does it ever challenge you in your own identity and at least the way that you see yourself as a man, the way you're supposed to walk? Are you emotional about it sometimes? Is there any sort of questioning that comes with that?
So I've come to this sort of place where I'm just really comfortable in doing anything because I know at the end of the day that
awesome.
I'm still going to be me. I know who I am and I know what I am. And it's like, if I do this or wear that or do this, it doesn't change anything. But because I know deep down inside, this is Wisdom Kaye, and that's been the biggest part of growing up and especially in today's age. And it's really difficult and for a lot of people to really understand like what that means, to still be able to like, you can do this, say that, blah, blah, blah. But deep down inside, you know who you really are, and it's tough. It's not an easy thing to do. To really understand yourself, And it's weird because it's like it's you. You should be able to understand yourself more than anyone.
Where do you think that understanding of yourself came from? Because I want to back all the way up to you being a boy and growing up and being bullied in some ways. Because you weren't always this fashionista, right? You didn't always walk around in heels and dress like this in high school. You're in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Houston, Texas. So you're in Houston, Texas. You're 6'5"?
6'4".
6'4". What was it like for you?
So I moved around a lot. I haven't lived in Houston my whole life, but I have lived in Texas. And it hasn't always been, like you said, the same thing. I have obviously gone through a lot of stuff and some bullying growing up. And part of it has to do with just moving around, always being the new kid. And always, also I've pretty much been one of the tallest people, if not the tallest person in my class throughout my life. So I'm also pretty obvious.
Yeah, you stand out.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, he's new, he's huge. Let's get on him for something, right?
And also, you're dark-skinned black.
Exactly, and I've been bullied for everything just growing up by everyone. I'm not trying to say like my childhood was completely like miserable.
No.
But wherever I've moved to, there's always people everywhere who have something. And it's weird because I've never been someone who says anything to anyone, never done. So it was really one of those things where I was like, why, like literally, why am I getting this torment? I just got here. It's literally my first day of class. I've been made fun of physical appearance, even what I used to dress like as well.
Which was what? What did you used to dress like?
Just, regular kid. I wore like Skechers, Wrangler jeans, T-shirt. There was nothing really special going on. And somehow that was still...
Do you think that was also a way for you to try to blend in? Like, were you, like, growing up, because you would just stand out on your own,
Mm-hmm.
did you want to just fit in and, like, not draw attention to yourself?
I would say I didn't start caring about what I was wearing until freshman year because I wanted to blend in. I wanted to fit in with the other people around me. I wanted to wear what they wore. So that way, as a way to like not get pointed out.
Yeah.
So I started sort of like looking up the brands that they were wearing and going to the mall and trying to buy those things. Still didn't work. And throughout this time, I was just caring about what other people were thinking about me. It wasn't until college where you have a lot more independence. I kind of discovered my own style there. It's one of those things where in your head, you think you're doing something that's really, really cool, even though you may look goofy. You know what I mean? You just don't really care. Because I was experimenting a lot and just like, making the best of what I had. That's pretty much how I just kind of like try to get that confidence back and not really care too much about what people are thinking.
Liz, we were going to say something earlier. I was curious because it looked like you were...
Well, I have so many questions. I wonder if we can talk about the intersection of Black masculinity and fashion, right? That fashion is both a tool of, I think, oppression for Black men in America and also a tool of emancipation. So in terms of oppression, I mean, even if you go back to the slave trade, like you were stripped from your clothing. You were giving one piece of clothing per year. Trayvon Martin, he was wearing a hoodie. That's why it happened, right? And then there's the history of Black dandyism in America, in Europe and America, this sort of using fashion as a way to access freedom for Black people. And then the pushback from the Black community, right, of taking up too much space, of imitating the white man in the way that you're dressing, or drawing too much attention to yourself if you're too stylish. I wonder like how... there's so little latitude for men to explore their feminine side. And I think for Black men, it's even more complicated. So what was it like for you to go into the women's section, like literally as a Black man, sort of pushing those boundaries in a country that has, such a history of dehumanizing Black men?
There is a lot of hypermasculinity within like the Black community, especially when it does come to fashion. And people were definitely saying things about me behind my back and saying, oh, what's he wearing this? What's he wearing that? And yada, yada, yada. But I wasn't so like in tune with it. Like it wasn't like people were right next to me or coming up to me like, bro, blah, 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 blah. You kind of hear whispers maybe, or you could tell, like you just look across and you can see someone like looking at you and looking to their friends and their friends are laughing. But it was more of those things where it was like, I never had like a group of Black men come up to me and say, bro, you can't be doing that, bro. Like, nah, you can't be wearing stuff like that. What's wrong with you? I feel like I was a little bit lucky in that respect because that's not the case for everyone. It really is more on the internet so than everything. Because on the internet, you can see the comment right there. It's almost like somebody's in front of you saying that to your face. And anyone can just say something through the screen, and just type away and move on with their day. And I really have tried not to let the text on a screen really bother me too much. And I feel like that was something important that I kind of had to figure out before I could really get on social media actively. So going into like the women's section and doing things like that, again, it was just one of those things where it's like, I just want to do this. I like this garment. I like these pants. And I think I rock them. So I want to wear them. And it's just, it's difficult because it's hard to explain how like I just don't care. I try to figure out how the best way to say it to somebody, but it's like.
It's pretty amazing. So I write about in Man Enough, in chapter 2, there's a body image chapter, and I struggled a lot with body image over the course of my life. And when I was younger, I would wear 2 T-shirts.
Me too, man.
Because I had very narrow shoulders, and I wanted my shoulders to look bigger because I was told that broad shoulders means you're more of a man, right? And girls might like you more, or men might respect you more, or whatever it is. And growing up, I would choose clothes based on how my shoulders looked. And to this day, as a 37-year-old man, I oftentimes will find myself like, I can't wear that, or I don't want to wear that because it makes my shoulders look narrow or something like that. And I can't imagine having the confidence to go into like a women's section or wear, some of the things that you wear, and not caring what anybody else thinks, because so much of my identity around how I look and masculinity has come from external sources, has come from what men look like, what men have historically looked like, and how I am supposed to look in order to fit in. You seem like you have just said, screw it all. I have, as a Loked said, an irrevocable sense of self. Mm-hmm. You seem like you have this sense of self that I admire. Like, I want to just, rub some of this onto me, because I would love to be able to walk into this podcast and rock a red, velvet blazer and be like, damn, I look good. I don't care what anybody else thinks. So, like, where does some of that come from? Like, have you had any body image issues like that at all? Like with even with your clothes? Because it just seems like you are so free, and I want some of that freedom.
It's really funny you say that, because I have a lot of body image issues, actually. It's weird. Like, I'm really confident in terms of like what I'm wearing, but in terms of the more like physical aspects of myself, not so much. And the funny part is, it didn't even start happening until I became a model. Because that's when I started looking at myself
this
in the
business
mirror.
No offense to the modeling business, but like, it is a
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like, oh, I'm not skinny enough. It was more like I would go to a fitting and something wouldn't fit me. I remember this one fitting I had to do, and there was, the whole line of clothes you wear for the shoot. And I was so excited. I was like, oh, there was just like gorgeous blazers there, gorgeous suits. And I was like, all right, this is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be epic. That was the first thing I tried on. There was this like gorgeous like pink Gucci shoe. I was like, bet I'm gonna put this on right now. Went into the room, tried to put the pants on. The pants were not getting on. All right, they were like, okay, no worries, let's try this on instead. Second thing I had didn't fit. All right, third thing didn't fit. I was like, no. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
And these are like sample sizes?
Yeah. And I had to wear what I brought. I came in with these pants that did fit me, and I eventually wore them with like a shirt that was on the rack and my own shoes.
But the feeling of them not fitting did something.
It just kind of hurt, because oftentimes I find myself, I have like a full body mirror. Sometimes it's my arch nemesis, sometimes it's my best friend. I look in there and I'm like, oh, all right, Wiz, not bad. Sometimes I'm looking there like, oh my God.
Well, what are you most insecure about? What part of your body are you most insecure about?
This part, the whole face area, which is the worst part.
Best part.
That is the worst part. Huh?
Your face.
Yeah. The face.
You're beautiful.
Stop it. Thank you. But yeah, it's hard sometimes to see it all the time.
Yeah.
You have your days where you're like, oh, okay, we got this. And then you have your days where it's like, oh,
Did you feel that way before doing so much social media?
No, I did.
You did?
I felt that way for a really, really long time. I wouldn't say that really had to do so much with modeling and anything like that. It was mainly like the body stuff. Body stuff I didn't really care about.
Yeah.
So that became my job, and then also modeling, because now it was like, all right, we really need to get these clothes, because that's what we're filming. Something like that. I started judging myself instead of like, oh no, this is just too small. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm curious, Liz, because women have been dealing with this forever. Mm-hmm. The idea of like plus size models, which is really just average human beings. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, like, who the hell created the sizes? Where do the sizes even come from? Is it a masculinity thing where men were like, should be the size of a woman, and then this is what a small is and a medium is? Or
I don't know the history of sizes. I just know that like most rules in our society was like made up, and it's completely imaginary, and we all give importance to it, right? Like a small is better than a medium, and is better than a large, right? Or whatever it is. Yeah. And I think that, with men, it's really interesting, because I was just thinking about the same thing, same brain, where I was like, oh, we've had a recent, and again, we're not there yet, but, we're seeing different diverse bodies for women. And I was like, oh, are we seeing that for men? And it's complicated, because with men, it's like there's on one end the glorification of the dad bod, which is like, there's no equivalent for women. No men are lusting over the mom bod in the way that women are. But then you also are insecure. And there are these, sort of impossible beauty ideals for men as well. And particularly when it comes to body dysmorphia, eating disorders, that there's a lot of activism out there, a lot on TikTok, actually, that I've, certainly learned about, of male voices talking about this issue. to, who are saying, gym bros have eating disorders, that it's a form of an eating disorder as well to want to wear 2 t-shirts. Not to say that you had an eating disorder, but
I had a disorder. I absolutely
yeah.
have some sort of body muscle dysmorphia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that too is part of that category, but we don't really talk about eating disorders in men, body dysmorphia and masculinity, and how those things are really oppressive, for men as well.
You said something earlier. You asked the question, what part of your body did you have the most issue with? And you said your face. So I just have to say something about that. First is, you are beautiful. You have beautiful black skin, and you have a face that's stunning. And the world does not tell you that your face is stunning. See, I think that you have always had an issue. You have a wonderful body. That's clear, right? You're tall. You can't make distinction between your size, your muscles with that of a white person or somebody else. But your face and your nose and your lips are not told to you, were not told to us through media, television, heroes. No one looked like us. Yeah. So you have what a lot of black men have. Oftentimes black men dress up so that we can be accepted and be seen and be looked at and be seen as beautiful, because you don't see my nose as beautiful. So the fact that you have that is not unique for black men. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to make this whole thing about a race thing, but I'm going to tell you now. I need to tell you that you are a fucking beautiful man.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry that you had that and that you still walk with that. But I feel you, brother.
I try to diminish it every single day. It's a work in progress. It's better now than it was years ago and the years before that. And it's, crazy you say that, because that's a conversation that I recently had with some of my friends, because it is true. You grow up and you look at, TV, look at movies, look at magazines, and who do you see on the covers? They don't look like you. You grow up thinking, oh, I can't be that. I can't do that, and that's the reason why I continually want to just be a role model for people. Sometimes I get messages from kids who are like, bro, like I love you, bro. Like you remind me so much of me, and I just love it. And those messages are so heartwarming, because I know that someone somewhere is going through what I'm going through, looks like me, has the same skin as me, and doesn't think they can do that, doesn't think they can wear that, they don't think they can be a model, they can't think they can do this. And when I get those messages and people are like, you inspire me so much every single day, it's like the best thing ever, because it is true. I mean, some kids might want to make a certain kind of music. They look and they see only the same kind of people making this music. They're like, oh, I can't make that music, or I can't listen to that, I can't wear that, I can't be that. And it starts to shape your idea of what is acceptable for what you look like, and yeah, it's really important that, we do have people constantly trying to, do different things and push those boundaries. And yeah, that's why I really, want to keep doing what I do. I'm so happy doing what I do, because I get to inspire other people.
Sweet. Can I ask you another question? Sorry, Jay, you may have something to say.
No.
Tell me about your daddy. So your parents are Nigerian. Mm-hmm. Different culture they're raised in, right? Mm-hmm. And what it means to be, first of all, my first time in Africa, I've been there 4 different times. Okay, Men walk down the street holding hands. Whether they're gay or not, that's irrespective. It's just love, the way they show love. Mm-hmm. And the way they're comfortable with their masculinity is very different than how we are here. But you were raised here. So tell me some differences between you and your dad.
I don't know where he is. I don't know where he's at.
You didn't have a relationship with him?
No, not as. I think he visited one time.
So you're raised by your mom?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. No, yeah, literally.
Do you have what about uncles?
Yeah, my uncle visits every now and then, yeah. I'm really close with my uncle. I'm close with, uncle, aunt, grandma, like everyone in my family, but I just didn't know my biological. So your relationship with a male figure growing up wasn't constant in your life? Non-existent, yeah.
So do you think in some ways, did your mom give you that confidence? Did some of that come from your mom, this ability to transform
Does your mom understand what you're doing? Like, I was gonna...
Mm-hmm. I can tackle both of those. Yeah. Obviously, I love my mother to death, but she sometimes will see like something I wear and she'll be like go change. You know what I mean? Like,
all right, that answers my question.
Yeah, it's been it's not so much now, because obviously like I do this now, but before, when it was like I was just going to school, we would like have to go somewhere, whether it was Walmart, go to the auto shop, go to the store, whatever it was. I'd come downstairs wearing something, and she'd be like, Like, what are you like? Why are you wearing that? What are you wearing? And I in my head, I'm like, I'm not even wearing anything, you know, whatever. I had to go upstairs and change.
Was it when it was like feminine,
No,
or
and
just generally like she didn't understand?
Yeah, it would be like I would maybe cuff my jeans up twice because I like the way like you see the socks and the sneaker.
Yeah.
So that you see the sneaker, or I tuck my shirt in a way, and then it was just simple things like that.
But what about the way that she saw you as a boy? Did she have expectations of you and the way that you had to walk as a boy and then as a man that were different from what she thought you should be versus what you thought you should be?
Oh, absolutely. There was one time I think she did say like, oh, you know, you're dressing a little bit too feminine, you know, at a time. Now, obviously, she's like, you look good, you know what I'm saying? But there was, you know, once upon a time.
Will you dress me?
But you know
son?
what I love is every time you go back to dress, which is interesting to me. What about how you expressed yourself? What about you were crying, if you were emotional, if you were sensitive?
There's never really been any other problem with any of that other stuff.
I think I know what you're getting at, which is that, and you probably know the research on this. I know Bell Hooks writes a lot about this, but the idea that single mothers oftentimes feel a sense of, they feel they need to protect their sons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they know how dangerous the world is for women.
Absolutely.
And they want their sons oftentimes to grow up, and I don't want to say to be hyper masculine, but they teach kind of a very traditional sense of masculinity to their boys. So you have women saying, man up, be a man, don't cry, oftentimes, right? It's a fear response to misogyny and to the patriarchy. So I think that's in some ways what you were getting at, but
Doesn't feel like
doesn't feel like that happened at all to you, which is really interesting. You're a bit of a unicorn.
Or is it because this generation is different than mine, than yours? Is it because you're 20 and the last 20 years, what we are accepting of and what we see and what you've been brought up with is very different than what I was brought up with?
Yeah, expression.
Very possible, yeah.
So you know what it means to be a man for you is very different than what I was told possibly.
Big thing, I did grow up in a very small town that is predominantly conservative, right?
So, okay, now I got to know. When you go back home to this conservative town and you're wearing high heels.
Oh, I don't.
You don't?
I really don't.
Oh, so
And the
you
thing
dress
is,
differently?
Slightly. I just, there's certain items that I won't wear. And it's not like I really care what the other people think, but I just don't want to draw too much attention. The problem, one thing I've noticed is that because I'm already 6'4", people are already looking just because I was like, oh, he's tall, right?
Yeah.
And then most of the time, every time, to be honest with myself, I am wearing some sort of outfit that, again, would probably draw eyes. If I throw like a 5-inch heel on, it's just, you know, it's just, the eyes are already enough. And then again, because I do know I am in a very somewhat homogenous, I don't want to say that, but in certain places it can be pretty homogenous, pretty conservative area. It's like, I just don't want to draw the unnecessary attention.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's
you know
not
what I
worth
mean?
it.
Yeah, like I'll go home and I'll make my videos and I'll post those, and then when I travel, I'll wear whatever I want on the street.
Yeah.
But you know, and I'm lucky I have the luxury to be able to do that. But yeah, when I'm at home, I try not to overdo it.
I just picture you in slow motion getting off the plane, walking through that Texas airport with your cape flowing in the wind behind you and your heels, man.
I love it.
But and it's interesting, like, you know, there's less latitude, I think, definitely for Black men or any marginalized community, you know, that wants to express femininity. But then on the other hand, like, having a little bit of femininity for Black men, for a 6'4" Black man who is, again, in American society can be seen as a threat or as a hyper, right? We hyper masculinize Black men. I have a friend who was an executive, you know, the only Black executive at a large production company, and he would wear black rim glasses, like not even he had no need for glasses, but he told me, like, I have to add a little bit of femininity so that people don't see me as the angry Black man in the room. So I'm curious if that, you know, going into a more conservative area, if keeping a little bit of femininity actually could be helpful.
No, the thing is, I always do somehow.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I do always still wear flare pants, like like no matter where I go, or something that's like, you know, kind of, you know, extenuates that, like, you know, the ankle or whatever it is. I do always have a heeled boot on. You know, it may not be the highest heel boot, but I do have some level of heel on most of the time. I might wear a sneaker every now and then. But, you know, in a way, I am always wearing something that is feminine just because it's comfortable. You know, the outfit that I'm wearing right now, I don't even see this as a crazy feminine thing, but it is apparently, because these, the heels on my feet are more feminine heel. The low hanging shirt, the pearls. I just like them. I think they look good.
It's so interesting that the idea of what is masculine and what is feminine in fashion, the whole thing is so bizarre to me. Because I remember having conversations with my wife, so here's something. I love to shop for my wife. Like I
didn't know that. That's sweet.
I would say 95% of Emily's wardrobe are things that I bought her that she didn't know that I was buying. Because I love it. I love to shop.
Not because you are dressing her.
No, I love to shop for women's clothes.
Not because you're like, I want you to look like this, wear these clothes.
Absolutely not. It's because I know her style and I know what she loves. And I also know that she's not a person that goes shopping a lot. Like she's not a person that thinks about that. But I know that I know what she loves to feel good in. And it's definitely not that I'm dressing her because I want her to look a certain
I know
way.
it's not.
But I love searching for women's clothes. And one of the things that we've talked about is like there's so many more options for women than there is for men. It's like choose your own adventure. You walk in, there's like all these stores, and then you walk into a guy's store, and it's like these are your options.
It's the same. Yeah. It's
all the same. Yeah. And also the fabric and the texture of women's
colors.
clothing.
Yeah.
I was like, baby, why your clothes are so soft?
Do you ever get tempted to like shop when you're in the women's section? You're like, I kind of want this for me.
I have said that about especially t-shirts. I'm like, why are your shirts so damn soft and stretchy and like and so I'm wondering, like, who's deciding? Like this narrow definition of masculinity is also it's everywhere. It's in our fashion. So I just kudos to you for like breaking the mold and for because look, those pants look really comfortable, dude. Yeah, they look really really
flare
comfortable.
Pants.
The flare pants.
But you know what's so funny because you mentioned materials and stuff. These are they're made for men. The material is actually not the most comfortable in the world, to be completely honest. And what you mentioned just now about women's clothing and like the materials and stuff. It's so true and it's so crazy. Like I wish I could shop in women's more. Nowadays, I try to avoid it just because I know I can't fit it. I just know I'm just too.
It's
not a lot for a 6'4" dude in the women's section.
I'm just too long. It's just I don't want the disappointment. Like I'll get something and I'm just like, I shouldn't try it on. I tried it on. It's like, okay, yeah, I knew this would happen.
I don't know if you've ever done this, Jamey, but I've been in stores where I've walked into the store and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then someone points out to me, no, that's the women's section.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
And
should there be a mail in, like, should it be kind of like toy stores where they're getting rid of the boy and the...
I love that.
Right? Yeah. Shouldn't we just get rid of it for clothes?
I think, because there's also different sizings for both. I personally just think there should just be a universal, just measure it, right? Just measure it. Because man, woman, anything, the waist can still be the same.
Yeah.
So I just think there should be just one large size thing for everyone, regardless of what you identify as. Just one size.
That'd be
Tell me something that you love about yourself. Give me the short answer. Give me a quick one.
Wit. I can be kind of witty sometimes. Right. If I'm in the right mood. Yeah.
Tell me something that you're working on that could be better.
Handling my emotions.
What does that mean? Handling your emotions.
Maybe handling is the wrong word. What I mean, just to explain it, is like sometimes when, let's say I'm upset at something or something happened that's not favorable, I'll just kind of, and I think a lot of guys do this, I'll just get real quiet.
And shut down.
I'll get quiet. I won't really talk to anyone, but I try to do it in the healthiest way I can. So I'll look at my options. Let's say it's 3 things that are bothering me. I'll look at my options. I'll decide which one of these can I fix. If I can fix one, I try to fix it right then and there. If I can't fix these, I'll be sad about it for a little bit. And then what I do, and this is just like a me thing, I do a big yell. I just go, really short, really fast, and then I'm good.
Right.
I'm happy. I'm ready to go again. Just like to just pop back into reality.
And was that an intuitive thing that you started doing?
Yeah.
Like you just felt like your body needed that?
It's not like a mad yeah. It's more like a like a more happier, like just to snap out of it, and then we're good. That's
okay. 2 more questions I got for you, and then I'll shut up. Tell me one thing about masculinity that you think is healthy. Short answer.
Chivalry. Like just sort of being like a good man, being, holding the door open or, caring for, protecting, things like that, those things.
Tell me something that you think is toxic about masculinity.
Thinking that you're like better than a woman just because you're a man. That's the most annoying part about it all. Like there's so many guys who are like, oh no, let me help you with this. Like, no, she's got it.
What's something that you think is wonderful about femininity?
Expression, love, care, tenderness, all that.
And what's maybe toxic about femininity?
It's the hardest of all.
That's hard, huh?
Of the batch. Maybe being.
It's a weird question.
It is.
Yeah.
That what's interesting is, though, I know the reason why the question is I know there are wonderful things about masculinity, and there are some things that we need to undefine and that are toxic. And we say there's wonderful things about femininity. Is there something that's toxic?
Well, I think that everything is beautiful, about masculinity, and everything is beautiful about femininity. It's our interpretation of masculinity that has toxic meanings. And I think, and I guess I have an issue with the word toxic femininity because that's what I get in my comments all the time to invalidate my work and invalidate my voice is like, well, femininity, let's talk about toxic femininity. And I'm like, to me, we can talk about, I mean, that's what we do with feminist theory, right? We're like, we talk about all the ways that we've misunderstood femininity and we've encouraged girls to be less assertive, less ambitious, to suppress who they are. And in a way, I think the same thing applies to masculinity. I mean, right? The ideals of masculinity also suppress who you are. And that's what you're really reclaiming in your life. And I think it's so beautiful. So that's just my like
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. I think if it was framed like what you had how you had said it, like what are some of the things we do know masculinity is beautiful as femininity is. What are some of the ways that we interpret or that we actually behave and put into action masculinity that could be harmful.
Yeah, we make
and what
it
are some of the
toxic.
things there? And then the same thing is about femininity. And it's harder for me with the femininity because it's only positive in my mind.
Emily and I talk about it a little bit, and women have their own version of it. And it's funny, I just pulled up the BuzzFeed article that says you've heard of toxic masculinity, but now people are talking about toxic femininity. But where I've seen it happen the most in my wife's line of work, my wife, speaking of fashion, runs the fashion company for mamas, for breastfeeding moms.
What's it called?
Ama. And
I like that.
And one of the things they've noticed is the amount of shaming that happens, the mom shaming that happens, the way that women tend to, this is the only way, and shame other moms for trying or things. And then there's this feeling like there's this lack of support system that I know a lot of women have felt with women, of course. But then if you think back to some of our previous episodes, you see that some of that all stems from the patriarchy and just wanting to fight for privilege versus equality, right? Which is what Aloka talked about before.
Two references to Alok.
Yeah, no, they rocked my world.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, so for kids out there, you know what? Forget that. People. Because I want it too. I'm gonna show up here tomorrow with my hair down and like flare pants and heels, and Jamey's gonna walk out the door.
Love it.
Do all of that except for your hair down. Please, I beg you.
But what's your advice for fashion? What's your advice for people, regardless of age and gender? Because again, we walk into stores and you see, oh, this is what's socially acceptable for me to wear. That's it. How do we break free of that? How do we find our expression without fear of being bullied or these comments or, because God knows how many comments I get on a daily basis. Cut your hair, do this.
No. I will say, and this is kind of what I tell myself sometimes, is that no matter what you do, no matter where you are, like just no matter what, someone's going to have something to say. Worldwide pandemic, they found a vaccine. People have something to say. You could win $1 million. Someone's still going to have something to say about it. If I stay the same, someone's going to have something to say about it regardless. Yeah. So I just use that to fuel this sort of like expression, like I'm just going to do this. If it interests me a little bit, I'm going to look at it a little bit more. If I want to do it, I'm going to do it. If someone's going to have something to say, whatever. They're going to have something to say if I don't do it.
I hope that you keep that as you grow older. I think that being 20 years old, you are afforded this observation that allows you to just be optimistic and to see the world for its beauty. And oftentimes what happens is we go through life and we have more crushing things happen to us and, we get a little smaller, start doubting and all of that. And your perspective, I think, is really what we need.
Yeah.
So I hope that you continue to carry that with you throughout your life.
Thank you.
And if social media blew up tomorrow, right? If suddenly TikTok no longer existed, what does your life look like? What are you taking from this last year of like being rocketed, launched into fame, finding yourself amidst millions of people, and then it goes away?
I still see myself as creative. I still have ideas. I still, see things. I'm still inspired to create things regardless of whatever, I guess, platform it would be on. And I still want to use my creative ability to just take on different things. I still want to go places and I want to do things beyond social media already as it is now. And I'm working towards those things.
Yeah.
So
you're using it as a launching pad.
Exactly, as a launching pad. You get yourself settled and then move on. And
Yeah.
So in the modeling industry, especially for men, so I dabbed in it for a second. I had like a moment of being repped and having a modeling agent. And it was really hard for me because I already struggled with my confidence. I was already very insecure about the way that I looked, the way that I was bullied and made fun of for, things growing up, like my nose and my eyebrows and stuff, and also my body type, being skinny or being too much. And that year that I was kind of dabbling in it, it was one of my low points in terms of my body image, because I'll never forget even going to a casting, and we had to wear shorts, and the I don't know what they're called, the people that
the stylist,
not the stylist, but the people that are like the casting directors or whatever, or the client. They were looking at our legs, so all of us men had to like stand up, and they were just looking at our legs.
Right.
And the guy's like, "You look like an ape."
No way.
Because my legs were hairy.
Oh my
No
God.
way.
And that's just one example. So, how are you going to change the modeling industry? Because you're a bit of an outsider. You came in. You're not like so skinny. Like you're a big dude. How do you want to change it from the inside out? Because it's a very unhealthy business, especially for young women, especially for girls. The things my wife has told me about the modeling business are horrific. Her sister just launched a new modeling agency to protect young girls in Sweden. But as a man, what do you want to change about it from the inside out?
It's funny, we talked about how much how I see my body and how I may not favor some parts of it.
Yeah.
But I think those parts are what I'm going to use to inevitably change how we see men in fashion, how we see men as models, and the whole industry as a
Like
whole.
what? So what? Like what?
So, for example, like I don't have the skinniest thighs in the world or things like that, but I want to, and people point that out, and I want to keep showing how, I may not be the thinnest, but I can still do this too, just as well.
Yeah.
And just, it's gonna, again, still new to this, still young. I'm still figuring out the best ways to do things, but it's gonna come from, I think, me personally, I want to show that regardless of what parts of your body you may not favor, what parts may not be, seen as the ideal, you still need to get out there and you still need to do what you got to do. You should still.
So what happens if you're going to a casting or you're up for a huge job and you need the money, and they tell you you gotta drop 10 pounds, or you gotta lose a size in your shoulders? How do you avoid? Because this is what happens, I think, especially to women. How do you avoid taking that feedback, making it so personal, and then actually hurting yourself in order to fit into the shirt or the jacket or to get that campaign?
I gotta tell you, I don't know.
I love that answer.
And
Thank you.
Because you mentioned that. I know other models, and I know the people who were models. They go through that same thing. It's one of those things where it's like, how do you? Because it gets to me just as much as it gets to anyone else.
Yeah.
When that's what you do, that's your occupation, and you go there, and someone tells you that, it's like, well, shit. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, and now apparently I have to do that. Me personally, if that were to happen, my weight doesn't fluctuate. I don't know why. That's just a health genetics thing.
Yeah.
So personally, I'm just gonna be like, well, all right, whatever. Like I'm literally just gonna have to move on with my life. But,
I'm not gonna try to fit into your box.
Right.
I can't do it.
But for some people who obviously can't, their weight does fluctuate. For a lot of people, they literally will. I'm gonna stop eating.
Yeah.
And it is predominant with women. I have so many girlfriends where it's not even like they're models. It's just they open their phone and they see somebody on their Instagram feed.
Yeah.
And it's an incredibly unhealthy thing. In this particular scenario, I don't know. That's a
Well, that's
I
a
don't know what
perfect,
somebody
perfectly
can
good
do.
answer. In
Yeah,
fact,
it's-
You don't
you've
have
said
to
a
know.
lot of good things today on our podcast, Man Enough. I think maybe the most manly thing you've said is, I don't know.
That's a tough one.
Well, it seems like you know
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Which is right, like, and it comes back to what Shawn Mendes said, like, the truth about who you are, and when someone says you're supposed to be this, you're like, no, I'm this, right? Like, I saw a great TikTok about this. This guy was like, it's like knowing that your name is Janet, and then someone says, hey, Ophelia, and you're like, no, I'm Janet. You wouldn't say like, oh, am I Ophelia? You're like, no, I know who I am.
I love
and that's
that.
what your presence really screams being with you. So we're gonna hop into rapid fire questions.
Welcome to this week's Man Enough podcast rapid fire questions.
When is the last time that you apologized to someone?
Yesterday actually.
Oh.
Yeah. It was one of my friends because I said something mean, and I was like, I'm sorry, bro. I didn't mean that.
Oh, love that.
Being honest. Don't worry about cameras being on you. Nobody will judge you. Honestly, what do you think of Justin's hair being down?
I love it.
God.
I was so scared. No, I literally love it.
You can say you don't love it.
No,
and
I
it's
actually
totally fine.
do. Like, what don't you
So
like
does
about
that?
it?
Yeah.
It was
Hold on,
malicious.
Jamey. Hold on.
Yes, sir.
How about now?
What don't you love?
It's
about
because
my hair?
he loves it too much. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Why don't you ask your rapid fire question?
I just for all of you who are listening, I just Fabio'd my hair. If you don't know who Fabio is, then don't even worry about
You're
it.
too young for this.
What do you think it means to be man enough? Because we talked about that a little bit earlier. But what does it mean to be man enough to you?
To me, to be man enough just means to understand yourself. I think it means to really understand yourself and not to stick to this sort of like, traditional, like, you got to be this, you got to be this. But for some people, if that's what it is, then that's what it is for you. I think it really is just, it obviously is down to the individual. But for me, I really think it's just understanding yourself and understanding the best way you can just help people and just be the best you can be. That's personally what I try to do every single day. And that's what it is for me, yeah.
You have a time travel device.
Okay.
And this time we're going back in time to 9-year-old wisdom.
9. Oof. Okay.
What do you want to tell 9-year-old wisdom?
I would tell 9-year-old wisdom to keep doing you. I feel like the stuff people said about me and all that stuff, I think it's all part of it. It's all part of building character. It's all part of getting you to where you are today. I feel like, yes, because of it, there are parts of me where I'm like, I don't really like this about myself or that about myself. But also because of it, I'm in a stage where it's like, you know what? This is also who I am. It's kind of like this weird sort of complex thing that, humans are complex. We have complex ways of thinking and emotions. We have contradictory thoughts and ways that we view ourselves. But it's all part of it. And I personally wouldn't, tell Wiz to really change anything. I like where Wiz is at right now.
Mm-hmm. Sweet.
Yeah.
Love that.
Would he be proud of you?
I think he would. He would be like, what? That's
Well,
us?
yes, right.
he definitely would be a bit surprised. But yeah.
And
I
by
think
how
Wiz-
tall you are.
Also that too.
Yeah.
But Wiz would
I like that
Wiz would be
question.
happy. Yeah.
I like that question.
You are a ghost at your funeral. You've lived to be 100.
Mm-hmm.
What do you hope is said about you and the way you move through the world as a man or a human?
That I brought joy to other people. That would be it. That would be it.
Love that.
Because I mean, social media, I may not show it as much. I try to do it in my content to entertain people and things like that. But, with my friends and in real life, I like to make people laugh. I like to brighten people's days, and I like to be just.
Bring joy.
Yeah.
Well, in your life, you live in that joy, make decisions when you're in that joy, not when you're intoxicated with grief and all those other things that we have to go through. Mm-hmm. That's when we make our best decisions, and good things happen with us when we live in the sunshine, which is joy. So,
well, you definitely brought a lot of joy to me today. But I think we have one. Do we have one audience question?
We
list?
do. So this is from You Writing This Down podcast. When was the first time that you told yourself that you loved yourself?
It's weird. I think there was a moment, I want to say it could have been 3 or 4 years ago. I looked at myself in the mirror. This was really before anything had really happened as well, like TikTok, social media, all that stuff. And I just was like, Wiz, you look good, man. That was as close as I've gotten to be like, oh, I love you, Wiz. But like, that was when I started gaining more confidence in myself.
Acceptance. Yeah.
Yeah. That was like
It's a great
4
question.
years ago.
It's a great question.
It's great.
Well, I got one thing to say to you is, you, my friend, are man enough.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the show. And my final question is, can I try on your blazer?
Absolutely.
I don't know how you can see this on the podcast, but
Well,
talk about it real time.
Thank you for joining the Man Enough podcast. We'll be right back with a
We will.
recap with the amazing Liz Plank and Jamey Heath. Thank you for listening. I'm
And
going to try.
follow us on manenough.com/podcast. Where else do they follow us, Liz? And all the places.
On all the places.
that you can get
all
your
the
podcast.
apps. There'll be a new one by the time this comes out. But
Buy Liz's book, For the Love of Men.
thank you.
Justin's book, Man Enough.
Support Jamey's TikTok.
And I
Follower
have 200
201.
followers. 201.
Guys.
All right.
getting
We'll see you
this?
next time.
Yeah.
Man Enough podcast.
Yes. Oh my God.
That's a look.
Stop.
That's a look.
feel
Even
like
with this, that's a look.
I feel like I just became man enough.
That is a look right there.
Yeah.
You've been man enough.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
That's a look.
Are you guys
Fits
right on that
perfect.
too?
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
Should I get my ring light?
Oh my God.
Hello and welcome back to the Man Enough podcast. I'm Justin Baldoni,
I'm Liz Plank.
I'm Jamey Heath
and we just had an amazing guest, Wisdom Kaye.
with some wisdom.
A lot of wisdom.
Where's your ring light, Jamey?
Well, I started our interview with him with a ring light because he's a TikTok specialist, and he's,
He was impressed with your ring light.
He was.
He was.
But then he asked me to remove it, to turn it off.
And he did. I think we can put the hair thing to rest now, don't you think,
Yeah,
Liz?
I think
I think
so.
that the
A
joke's
fashion
over.
expert.
I think
The
it's.
joke's over.
I think it's now. I can just wear my hair down, and you can't threaten to quit
anything.
anymore.
You know what? I loved how comfortable he was with where he is right now. He's 20, right? So we know as we continue to move through life, we're haunted with certain things that may come up, but he's got a good head on his shoulders.
I wish I had that
Me
confidence
too.
at 20. I wish I had that confidence now. He seems like he really has a strong sense of self, as you said.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. And it's not about proving anything to anyone,
No.
you know, in the positive or, you know, like it's not about making a statement. It's just about being truly who he is, which like the world would be a better place if we all went around in the world like that.
Yeah,
you know?
and even down to undefining masculinity, right? Which is kind of what we are talking about in general. What I think he's doing is undefining masculinity, especially in fashion, because the whole idea, the premise of it, as you know, Liz, is to just make room for anybody who identifies as a man to be allowed
Yeah.
to be a man and express themselves.
No matter what.
And I think fashion, and I didn't realize it until we were sitting here talking, I think fashion has been a huge piece of the things that are holding us back in masculinity, that we're not allowed to express ourselves through fashion.
So I'm going to start expressing myself
I hope you do.
as you are with your hair.
As I did with my hair. I'm owning it.
Liz, you do something that I really love.
Whenever he starts with that,
No,
I know I'm gonna start crying.
And I looked at you for a moment, and do you know that you ask questions when it comes to someone being a black man? You bring up race so much. It's not just one-offs. It's orchestrated throughout your whole being. And I really appreciate that.
thank you.
I appreciate that. That's something that you care about. You care about this topic, of course. You're a feminist. You care about the liberation of women, and you know all, but
And men.
equally, and men, of course. But you bring race into it also, without it being down someone's throat. It's just part
Right.
of your fabric, and I feel seen, and I don't have to always do it because you do.
Thank you. You do it with gender, and I just think fashion is so much. You know, one of the awful things about misogyny is that we don't value fashion as much as we should, right?
Yeah.
We see it as this like frivolous thing, and you know, oh, it's superficial. It's just the way that you present. But there's so much amazing literature out there about just again, how fashion has been embedded in the liberation of, Black people in America. And again, how it's used as a tool for emancipation, I think is so interesting. Like, I was reading this book, I want to get the author's name, Monica L. Miller. She wrote a book called From Slaves to Fashion, and she talks about Black dandyism. And one of the things that she talks about in her book is that when Frederick Douglass, who was the most photographed man in the 19th century, fascinating. When he was asked, well, what is the first thing you want to do when you're free? He said he wanted a blue serge suit, right? And again, like the meaning of fashion and representation is so huge. So it's not, we could, I'm sure wisdom is dismissed and was like, okay, well, you're just wearing this, jacket, or you're just wearing these heels. But it's actually, there's so much in there that I think he's not even maybe.
He might not even be aware of it yet. It's
in
his cells and DNA.
Yeah, he's changing the world as he's walking through it.
Yeah. So beautiful. And that's why we do what we do.
That's right. I'm really glad we had him on here.
So, thank you all for listening to this episode of Man Enough. If you like what you are hearing, you can like and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, or go to manenough.com/podcast. And until next time, I'm Justin Baldoni.
I'm Liz Plank.
I'm Jamey Heath, and follow me on Instagram.
And this is Man Enough.